All right, Charlotte Soccer Show Premier League Banter Edition. We are back. It's Danny Brams and Matty Geslin. Matt, what's going on, brother?
Johnny. Missing Johnny, man, but good to have you, Danny Brams.
You're missing Johnny. Yeah. Well, hey,
good
this
to
is
see you, man.
We did the first episode. We didn't get canceled.
No,
John didn't
we didn't
cancel
get
us. You know,
canceled.
we submitted
cancel us.
We submitted our episode to Papa John, executive producer John. He said it was good. We published it. We got it on online, and he let us come back for another round. So
we are back. And Danny Brams, let me tell you, this week the games were ridiculous from start to finish. I mean, listen, I don't normally get up for 4:00 in the morning games, and so this was a select one this morning. Sure. So I feel like I'm in the afternoon. I don't know. I'm in a daze.
It's only 11 o'clock. You got the daylight savings time change. Everything's throwing you off. Yeah,
everything's off. But let me tell you, this week, from not only from Prem, but to MLS, to Italian League, there was, La Liga had some stuff going on too. There was just action everywhere you look. Bundesliga today, of course, the continuation of just giving the title to Bayern Munich, just continues. But anywhere you looked across Europe, the leagues were just absolutely, and even like I said, domestically here in the States, just what a weekend for football.
Yeah, just like these are the kind of weekends that remind you of like why you will devote all your time and sit here and spend so much time watching soccer just like over and over again, because you hope to get the moments of magic that we got this weekend. It started, you mentioned with Leeds. We're going to get, we cover our teams here on this show. We are the Charlotte Soccer Show, and we like ourselves more than we like anybody else. So we talk Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham here, since those are the favorite clubs of our three hosts. But we can't ignore just the absolutely amazing Leeds Bournemouth match. And tell me, what was your experience of watching that match? Watching you at one point, you texted me, Jesse Marsch gets fired today. So how did that? You still think he gets fired after that one?
Let me tell you, the momentum swings in this game were absolutely ridiculous. It was right out of the gate. I was a couple minutes late, and there was already a penalty. 3 minutes in, goal, penalty, in the box.
Leeds early lead. Yeah, exactly.
Leeds early lead. Everyone's jumping at Ellen Road. The place is going off.
And they're rarely a favorite. They're usually not a favorite, but playing Bournemouth at home, they were actually favored to win this pretty big.
Exactly. And just beating Liverpool, at home, like you said. So coming into it the favorite, and to just get out of the gate like that, boom, right out, boom. Then Bournemouth come out, just back and forth, even after the goal. That didn't come right away, and both teams were at it. Leeds had a chance to go 2-0 up and would have really put some pressure on it. And then all of a sudden, Bournemouth just put one after the other in the back of the net. And it was 3-1 real quick before you even noticed it. And so that's when I texted you, and it looked like, Leeds was just making sloppy passes and turnovers left and right, defensive gaps. And it really could have been even more than that at halftime, to be honest. And so, that's when it looked really, really daunting. And give credit to Leeds.
It looks dire.
You might not even make it out of the halftime tunnel. And so credit to him and the boys. They came back, they fought hard. And then again, an absolutely back and forth game in the second half that ends in a 4-3 win for Leeds. Ellen Road going absolutely bonkers. Those fans are loving life right now. So no, I don't think he gets fired this week. I still think, the bar is pretty low for him at the moment, though, and he's got to be really careful. I think he's looking forward to this World Cup break and getting another win under his belt before the end of the break. And then hopefully coming back fresh, after, with everybody healthy and things like that. So, some breathing room for Jesse Marsch, but let me tell you, it's not been easy the last couple of weeks for that man and that team, and hopefully he can kind of give himself some space.
Oh yeah, like early through that at halftime, I was like the Tyra Banks meme, right? I was like, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Like, it matters. Like, if you're a U.S. men's national fan, if you're just a fan of Americans in the global game, it matters to see. We want to see an American do well as a manager in the Premier League. We saw Bob Bradley. He was the coach of Swansea a few years back. And not for long. It didn't last long because he just, it wasn't good. So we feel like Americans are not going to get chances to keep going in the biggest league in the world if we continue to have these failures. So I'd like to see Jesse Marsch have like a nice long run, even with his ties to New York Red Bull, which kind of makes me go, I can't. Totally. I'm not. Don't love that. Don't love that.
He's got to keep the fort, though. He's, like you said, that's the only way we're going to be able to continue having, U.S. coaches going to the Premier League is if someone is there to kind of establish that. If there's no one there, it's going to be very hard for an English team to take a U.S. manager without some experience or some type of, guiding light already there. And so Jesse Marsch, unfortunately, the pressure is on him to keep it until we can get a second manager. And then maybe, at that point, you never want to see a guy fired or leave for a different job, but he's kind of in that role until there's a following, that can kind of come in and continue that trend. So yeah, it's a big deal, like you said, and we want to wish him the best. And obviously when they're not playing our teams, we want them to win and continue to succeed. But that's a huge part of U.S. continuation and growing in the sport for sure.
Well, it was a wild match. Obviously, beyond just Marsch, we love Brendan Aronson. He's my guy. I'm on record as saying he's my number one player on the U.S. men's national team. I think he's the most important player in Qatar for us. As good, I wouldn't call him the very most talented, because I do think Pulisic is a little bit more talented, and Gio Reyna probably has the more technical ability. But I love Brendan Aronson because he just never stops. His motor never quits. He's still got a little bit of the hunger that maybe is some of that edge is off. I mean, Pulisic is still hungry. I don't know. What do you think? Pulisic has lost his edge? Is he the same guy he was as a 19-year-old?
No, I don't think he's going to be, and I don't think he wants to be that guy. I think he wants to be, I think he's said it before. He obviously embraces the pressure and he has all the commercials and all that stuff, but that's not really his area. He likes to kind of be more of just the player on the field. And I think like you mentioned, having some of those other guys to kind of take some of that stress will be super helpful and important for him to be successful. And then also on the field, I think guys are going to give him some more room. You're going to have to pay attention to, a Gio Reyna if he's healthy, and give a little bit more room, and back to Brendan Aronson and Musa. If they can give some more space, you're going to see little gaps open up for Pulisic, and he can kind of give you those runs and give the U.S. an opportunity. Again, also a lot is going to depend on what happens, to players and health the last couple of weeks here. As we go into the World Cup, a lot can change of just in the group stage of who we're going to play. Defender for Wales or England can go down and completely changes the entire roster and changes the outlook or even our guys can go down, and which hopefully not. But, there's a lot to be played for here in the next couple of weeks. And I think, you're just going to see more of those kind of positions kind of give Christian a little bit more freedom and be really hungry.
We should be getting our final list of who's going for the men's team to Qatar later this week, so that's something to look forward to. Not Brendan's best game here in this Leeds Bournemouth instant thriller classic. He ran his heart out. He gave his all. He didn't really make a lot of positive contributions. I think his rating was a 6.0 on SofaScore, which is about as basic as it gets, and he didn't get a lot of credit on the stat sheet for the things he was doing, but he's still fun to watch for me. And his fighting spirit, his American rah, verve, if I could say it, like that he sort of infuses his teammates with. I think it did fire his team up. They're down 3-1 shortly after half. They come back, tie it up within 20 minutes later on 2 quick goals in the 60th. And then just a great counterattack, absorbing so much pressure. They got a nice breakaway counter for Somerville for the go-ahead goal, and then they held on. Yeah.
And just when you thought that was the only crazy game, Danny Brams, there was action on, like I said, that whole window was wild. I mean, City going down to 10 men on a red card early on, they hold on and they get a late penalty. Wolves and Brighton, who would have thought they would have scored 5 goals? Wolves scoring 2 goals and any game is rare. And then of course, to end the afternoon, that Tielemans, winner was just an absolute bullet. Right. So, I mean, across the board, you had left, right, and center, Brighton or Brentford and Forest. Forest got a huge point as well. Again, kind of starting to get a little bit more stable. I mean, that was only the appetizer for the afternoon game that we saw in California for the MLS as well.
Oh yeah. MLS Cup rep strong. Yeah. MLS Cup was part of the proceedings for sure on a crazy day of soccer. Been called already the best MLS game of all time. People were already calling it that. They said it's not the best cup final of all time in this league. It's the best game of all time. I mean, to be sort of that number 1 versus number 1, easily the 2 best teams in the league facing off, giving us a classic for the ages. I mean, this is the Premier League banter side, but that game caught our eye as well for sure. And it lived up to a crazy day. I was pretty excited as an Arsenal guy, as with Arsenal being top of the table, to the chance that Man City was going to give up points, they looked like they were headed for a draw for sure. And a nice goal by my boy Julian Alvarez, whoever I love, Spider-Man for sure. But I cheer for him. I want him to go somewhere else. Like if I love De Bruyne and I love Alvarez. And I like Holland. If those guys could go play for somebody else, I would become huge fans of all three of them. Unfortunately, I can't ever find myself cheering for City. It's just never ever going to happen. Absolutely. So it was a bit of a shame. I would have loved for them to drop points, give Arsenal a chance to get more of a cushion. They couldn't quite do it. Holland is inevitable. Holland is like Thanos, right? Exactly. He's like as soon as he subbed on, I knew, he's inevitable. Like I knew it was over. I shouldn't have even held out hope. And of course it comes in stoppage time on a penalty. So, I mean,
Kevin De Bruyne, though, he led that team all the way through kind of, even with the 10 men, he was definitely the four. And then, Anthony Robinson making an unfortunate tackle there in the box. You hate seeing that from one of our guys getting into back to the World Cup and things like that. But, Kevin De Bruyne just kind of kept that team moving. And then, like you said, inevitability came and put one in the back of the net. But what other games? I mean, you and I were talking all weekend. I mean, what other games stood out to you in this early window? Again, today was a different set of games that we'll get to here in a second. But
the great Saturday set the stage, right? For Geslin versus Brams, the showdown, the Sunday morning showdown. What time was it out in Portland? What time did you get up to watch Chelsea versus Arsenal?
It was a 4 a.m. start here. Oof. So I rolled out of bed at about 3:59 and rolled downstairs, luckily to my couch, which is comfortable. But it was early. Wow. Obviously I got downstairs, my stove and my microwave said 5, so I was a little confused as they don't automatically change.
Daylight
right?
savings got you again.
So I luckily had a nice,
you've been off ever since that moment.
Yeah. I've been kind of like in a really weird phase. So kind of resembling of how my team performed as well. So congratulations to you. Nice win. We didn't look like we were there. So
by the Chelsea Blues for sure.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much sums it up. I don't know how else to talk about it, especially with you gloating over there and so.
Yeah, it was pretty easy for me to gloat. I try not to but you notice I waited till the very end. You tried to bait me. You sent me a text and you were like, oh, it's over, and I was like, no, there's still 10 minutes left. You're not going to get me into that start celebrating before it's over type thing, because I don't do that anymore. I used to. That used to be my thing back in the day. But
usually for me, it's the reverse psychology. If I talk about it, the opposite comes into existence.
Oh, I know
and it's almost automatic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost automatic. So
I love to like talk about speaking in gifts. I mentioned the Tyra Banks meme earlier. This time I was the Mad Max meme. I was just like, no, that's bait. That's bait up there. I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that. I refuse to fall for that one. I've fallen for that before. So
exactly.
I'm too experienced these days, but I did feel confident because like Arsenal just looked class, man. Arsenal looks class. Arteta's got them where they need to be. This was a classic game where they could have slipped up, right? They could have fallen. They could have gotten into the rivalry situation and like, we're on our rivals' ground. But it was really like what I would call, it was like a 1-0 beatdown, right? I mean, it was 1-0, but it was just like a constant beatdown. Chelsea never, they had a couple chances, but they never really threatened. If you look at the attack momentum on SofaScore, it was just like lines and mountains of blue.
Yeah.
And,
I think you guys had 60% possession of, throughout the game. It was not even a contest. I think, like you said, 2 or 3 chances. Otherwise,
so 14 shots to 5, 56-44 possession. Arsenal only 2 shots on target is probably the biggest problem. That's why it was only 1-0. Yeah, but it was just like pressure. The 3 big chances.
We never got
10 of the 14 shots inside the box.
You guys dominated. You guys dominated from start to finish. I mean, just watching you guys play out of the back, there was a couple of times where the lines were so easy. There was 3 passes and you guys were already in the 18-yard box, or 4 passes and there was a cross in from the ball that Jesus should have scored on in the first half with a fantastic ball from Martinelli. Like that was 4 passes and then
that was sick,
easy wide open header, just one-on-one with Mendy. I mean, not only are we lacking offensively, which has been the case even before Potter got here, but now the holes are coming defensively, and it's really dire. I think the team's position in the table is actually reflective of where they belong. I don't think you can say that about, Liverpool. Clearly they won today, moving back up. They obviously beat a Man City.
Yeah.
They're favored for the Champions League. That's a different type of conversation where you say, oh, Liverpool are an 8th. You don't have any concern that they're going to find a way into the top 4, right? For us right now, we are definitely an 8th place team, and I don't see that changing in the moment. Just the way we're playing the last couple of games, even the couple of games in the Champions League where we squeaked out some results. It's not been pretty, and it's interesting to see how Graham Potter's going to fix it after the break.
Well, like we said, I was speaking to some Charlotte FC folks earlier this week, and we were talking about European soccer and whatnot, and the chance to maybe go someday go play in the Club World Cup against some of these huge clubs or whatever for real. And we mentioned the Chelsea exhibition that we had against Charlotte this summer, and Charlotte FC broke Chelsea. I mean, there's really no other way to say it anymore. Charlotte FC broke Chelsea. We did it for the crown, and they've never really recovered. They've looked like crap ever since. And you got to feel like, what's your take on the whole Graham Potter situation coming over from Brighton? And now that they've fallen back behind Brighton in the table, and I'm sure the Brighton fans are absolutely loving it.
I think there's 2 ways to look at it. I think you're expecting it a little bit. Obviously, the Brighton team had that structure, that style of play that he implemented for more than 2 months. Right. So that's kind of it progressed. It was pretty poor the first year, got better the second year. This past year he was pretty strong, and obviously it's continuing now with him gone. But I think, that's going to take some time for us to implement that. Now, that's one side of the coin, right? Which is that the vision? Is that the plan? Are we going to allow that to happen? Totally understandable if that's the case. You have to look at Chelsea's history. That's not how we operate, right? With Roman there before, if you didn't win, it was, what did you do for me lately? And so if you don't win, you're out, and I think that's where, the fans are going to have to, myself included, is going to have to set some expectations. Are we rebuilding? Are we really truly going and saying, hey, like you guys did, and it's starting to pay off now, where you trusted Arteta to come in and kind of clean up house, find his players, find his style of play. You clearly saw that today, that you guys have a style that you are implementing, that game in, game out, Arsenal is playing this way, and that is very clear. For us, we have to build that, and that takes time. And again, will Chelsea ownership allow for that? I don't know. If we allow it to happen, I accept some of these results for a time being to see how it comes.
Oh, you accept them, huh?
I don't accept them. I mean, it's just the reality of it. Like, there has to be improvement. Obviously, I want to see
you send an email to Stamford Bridge and say, "Hey guys, we're cool.
We're cool. We're good now. No more. Just let them play it, whatever." But yeah, it's my determining factor. I know Todd Bowley very well. But I'm not accepting of it, but I'm understanding of where we're going. Again, if we're allowing for it to play out. Now, I cannot let this prolong for a season.
Yeah, how long is this sort of don't worry, be happy mindset you got?
He's got to have 2 January transfer window is always difficult, no matter what. World Cup season or not, is always a difficult window to kind of bring in players. And are they temporary players? Are they longer? It's a tougher window than summer.
I mean, at this point, Chelsea's looking to get rid. They're looking more to get rid of some trash players.
I agree with you. Players. I would say if he needs to, this time next year, they have to be significantly better. If not, then.
So you're fine if you miss top 5 in the league. If you're in Conference League next year and schlepping it out to Croatia.
Looking at this team right now. Looking at this team right now, they don't belong in the top 5. So yes, I mean, that's just the reality. This team does not belong.
Maybe
in the
they
top
won't
5.
even make Conference League. Who knows? I got one question before we move on from Chelsea. Yeah. If let's share the screen here. Yeah. So here's my big question. You see this photo? Is Kai Havertz? Is he cutting his own hair? What's going on here? Is this guy trying to just get the floaty going? I mean,
I don't know.
My hair's a little messy right now, so maybe I'm not in the best position to talk. I should have put a hat on before I came after a guy, but I don't know. This haircut, Kai. This is a beta haircut. I'm not sure this is working for anybody.
Well, I have nothing to say to this. Same way, my hair is long and covered by a hat. So
yeah.
We'll let him go with how he wants.
I mean, Kai's got money is the thing. Kai's
got
a lot more money than I do.
What are we talking about here, Danny Brams?
To look that, I don't know if his like mom put the cereal bowl on top of his head.
She might have. He's still a baby, so who knows who cut it for him, But like you said, how can we give him a hard time? He's got all the money and all that stuff. So I'd take it for sure.
Well, we talked about how we all three of us, you, me, and John, all sort of we sort of support Leeds when we can, when they're not playing one of our teams. But Leeds' next opponent here, right before the World Cup break, is John's team, Tottenham, who gave a decent account of themselves today against Liverpool. But you always felt like with no Son and no Richarlison that it was going to be pretty tough sledding for Tottenham, even at home. And Liverpool made it look pretty easy. Despite Kane stealing one back with about 20 minutes to go, Liverpool was never really in doubt, right?
Never in doubt, probably not, because Spurs let them get there. Again, I don't understand and I think everyone in the football world is just like, what are you doing in the first half if you're Spurs? Like, why does it take them 55 minutes to get started? Like, yes, it is a problem, like you said. Other than that, yes, the game was in hand, but again, if Liverpool doesn't, obviously Eric Dyer's goal changes the entire game. It's a draw then, right?
What did John tell us? I'm out on Dyer. Full stop. It's like Dyer does some things, but he hurts us, but he helps us, but hurts us, but he helps us. No, if you're
cannot be in this lineup, and I've said this for years to John and him and Ben Davies. If those are your two center backs, you got some problems. Okay, but if we're being realistic, like that's fair. So yes, to take that goal out, it's a 1-1 draw against Liverpool, who definitely dominated the game in the first half. If you're Conte, that's all you could really ask for. But again, why let it get there? You are obviously you're missing key players, like you said, but you have some very, very good players off the bench. Kulusevski came in and obviously is a difference maker. I mean, they've missed him.
It would have been nice if they could have started him. They might have had a little bit more of a chance. He was a big difference maker.
But I think you're going to start to see now he's getting now there's no excuses, right? If guys are coming back from injury, and they come out clean again, back to that whole comment.
Son's going to be out for a while. I mean, he's going to miss the World Cup, they say.
Yeah, but if he comes back after the World Cup healthy, the roster comes, guys come back in good shape. I think Spurs are okay for top 4. But Liverpool dominated this game. I mean,
there's a new interloper though, and I called this before the season. I'm not, I'm quick to take credit for any of my calls that get somewhat near correct. And it's Newcastle. Newcastle's in third place. They've got an extra game on most of the teams, but they're right there in the top 4, won 4 in a row. Just looking like a powerhouse, but with Trippier, Guimaraes, Miguel Almiron, Joe Ellington didn't play today. Callum Wilson is bagging goals. I mean, it's tough to beat this Newcastle team. They're fun.
They are fun. And that place, Newcastle, we talked about Leeds fans earlier. Newcastle fans are insane as well. And so it's great.
The Toon Army's been waiting for a winner for as long as since the days of Alan Shearer, since the beginning of the Premier League.
It's great to see them back. It's great to see them back, and their rivals and United are right there as well in 5th and things like that going on. So like you said, it's going to be a battle for the top 4. But man, Miguel Almiron looks like he can't be stopped right now. Can they keep it up is the real question. I mean, Will Liverpool make a run? Yes, that's another spot loss. And then you're asking, can Newcastle tackle a Spur or a Manchester United, or if somehow we turn things around? It's a tougher argument towards the end of the year. So I love the story. I mean, they're a third of the way in and they're in third place. But again, it's a long season, and we'll see what happens after the 38 games are finished. So.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And I got good news for Newcastle, because you know who's coming in next week for the last game before the World Cup break? Chelsea Blues going to St. James. So it should be another way they should be riding high on the back of 5.
I didn't want to bring it up. But yes.
Yeah, I mean, Bruno Guimaraes is everything that Chelsea wishes Mason Mount and Christian Pulisic and Kai Havertz were. So as far as being just a dominant box to box, like pull the strings, create the goals, score the goals, make the tackles. I mean, I love this guy. The world is going to see just how great Bruno is in this World Cup, because I think he will hopefully have displaced Casemiro as the starting center mid for Brazil. And I think he's going to open some eyes and really like blow some people's minds. We'll see. I could be wrong. Who knows what Brazil's going to do? But if Bruno gets the minutes in the World Cup, he will become a international soccer superstar by the time this cup is over.
It is interesting. It is interesting the approach that Newcastle took as well, right? Everyone expected, this new group to come in and dump money into this program and billions of dollars, and they're going to buy left and right. And Mbappe was talking about all these guys at one point, remember? And they're doing it with a different way. They're bringing in quality players for a decent, yes, it's definitely a significant increase in salary and payroll for Newcastle, but they're not the best players in the world. And now look at the team that they have. It's a strong team. Eddie Howe is a great manager. I've told you this before, that I wanted him well before the Frank Lampard days at Chelsea. And I think a lot of our problems would have been solved. But so, I mean, they have a lot of really good pieces, and now they're going to be in a really strong position. Let's say they get through January in, Champions League football position. That's a great sell for them, that organization, plus boatloads of money you can't even imagine, to go find some players and bring them in and elevate it even further. So Newcastle is definitely on the up and up for sure. It's going to be an interesting one. And then, I don't know can we get off a podcast episode without talking about the demise that was Manchester United today? I mean, pretty poor performance, but kind of expected almost, I feel like, as well.
I absolutely love it. They're clowns. I cheer against Manchester United every single game they ever play. That they're the one team that I can just never, even Chelsea and Tottenham, I can find like soft spots for. And I have friends that, and that's because my
me too. Yeah.
I have friends that are Man United fans, but I just something about it. And I think it goes back to Sir Alex Ferguson and his memory and his legacy is why I will never, ever like see it from Man U's point of view or anything like that, like it can sometimes do with Spurs and Chelsea. Like I just Man U is just as bad as it gets for me as an Arsenal fan, for sure. So I love to see him down in the mud. Losing badly at Aston Villa today was just an absolute treat to watch Ronaldo run around or walk around and do nothing and refuse to let himself be subbed. And meanwhile, Villa looks like resplendent. Villa brought in my old guy, Unai Emery, former Arsenal manager Unai Emery got to come in and clown Man U just like he did in the Europa Cup final a couple of years ago. So all in all, just an absolutely bonkers soccer weekend for me. It couldn't have gone better in the Premier League. And as an MLS fan, the only thing that could have been better is if we had my boy, for the crown, if Charlotte FC was playing and was able to play a big match and get a big win, that's about the only way this weekend could have been better for me.
Danny Brams couldn't have said it better myself. What's the word on your guys'? I mean, are you guys still in training? Are you guys still? What's this extra? I know Latanzio was doing.
I think the squad is out running wind sprints right now as we speak.
Right now, as we speak.
Uphill both ways for sure.
Sounds good. They kind of need it. So I'm definitely not doing that. I'm going to take a nap. But I love seeing you, buddy, and always love talking footy for sure. So
we mentioned the World Cup. Let me give another plug for my World Cup fantasy pool. If anybody wants to get involved, just email me or send me a DM on Twitter is probably the best way, and I will get your email so I can send you. We have the scoring system right here. It's mostly based on goals and assists, but there's some other stuff, and it's a really fun tournament. It's a way to you do have to put some thought into like picking your team to start, but you only have to pick your team once, and then I'll take care of all the rest and send you all the scoring updates, and we'll be talking about it on our YouTube channel, doing some daily updates as to how the pool goes and things like that. So we've got a few people locked in. We're up to 15 official participants who've said they're 100% in. I'm expecting that to grow up closer to 50 by the time
put my name down right now, Danny Brams. Just
you want a live update? Live
update. Just put it right in, right boom. There.
All right, you just became the 16th participant. We're live good. On recording of YouTube. Very good times. It's going to be a blast. Trust me. This is something you're going to want to be involved in. If you want, this will enhance your watching of the World Cup for sure. So get in touch with me however you know how. Other than that, I've got to say, loving the Premier League banter. Hopefully Big Daddy Hayes doesn't cancel us here after week 2. I think we did a pretty good job.
Not. Thank you. Please don't cancel us, big guy.
Exactly. It's all, we work at his pleasure. So it is what it is at this
exactly.
point. But Excellent times, Matt, and I will see you next week.
All right, man. Talk to you later.